Good morning and happy Friday. I'm Luke Russert. It's June 12, 2015, and this is the briefing on Shift by MSNBC. What's up, Digital? Let's start off with some unexpected action up on Capitol Hill. We knew a trade policy vote is coming, but we didn't know until this morning that a surprise visitor for House Democrats awaited them at their 9:30 a.m. conference meeting. NBC's White House correspondent Kristen Welker joins us live now, and MSNBC reporter Alex Seitz-Wald comes to us from the world-famous Cannon Rotunda. Where else would you rather be than Cannon, right here, right now? But Welker, we'll start off with you, my friend. President Obama, 9:30 a.m., surprise visitor to the House Democratic caucus meeting. He went to the congressional baseball game last night. He's never spent this amount of time with House Democrats his entire presidency. He loves them ahead of this trade vote.
Well, you've hit the nail on the head, Luke. Look, this is an unprecedented outreach that we have seen from President Obama trying to twist the arms of members of his own party, Democrats, to get them on board with passing these two key pieces of legislation that are up for a vote today that would ultimately give him fast-track authority to secure a trade deal. As you point out, he's on Capitol Hill this morning, right now, meeting with House Democrats. Last night, he was at the congressional baseball game. He's been working the phones, Luke. He's also been sending his top advisors to Capitol Hill over the past several days and weeks to try to secure the votes for this legislation. And, of course, what's so interesting about the politics of these are members of his own party that he's been trying to convince. Why is this so critical for President Obama? This is a key priority of his second term. This would be a landmark trade deal with 11 other Pacific Rim nations. President Obama, the White House, argued that this would put the U.S. on the map in terms of global trade. But a lot of Democrats and labor unions oppose it. They say it will cost American jobs. That's something that the White House pushes back against. They say, look, this trade deal has protections for American jobs and also environmental protections, Luke. But the politics, very interesting. President Obama trying to get those last-minute votes, and it could all come down to Nancy Pelosi. We're told she's going to come out in support of this, but she's been keeping her cards very close to the vest, as you know, for the past several days.
Yeah, and Kristen, one thing I'd just like you to elaborate a little bit on within that, which I find fascinating, is that something that President Obama is doing here is essentially saying to these Democrats, trust me, it's me, this is a progressive trade deal, just I got this. The one thing, though, is that this authority, it does outlast his presidency, this fast-track trade authority. It can go on to the next president. He has a sort of a difficult line to walk right there because there could be a Republican that could take advantage of this afterwards, which would pretty much make a lot of House Democrats upset.
That is the very difficult line that the president is walking, and we're seeing this huge fight, this infighting amongst Democrats. Elizabeth Warren, as you know, has come out against this, has launched this vociferous fight against this for the very reasons that you mentioned, because there aren't the securities in place, she says, beyond the president's 2 terms in office. But President Obama trying to make the argument that he is the progressive leader here, that he would not put American jobs at risk. He says that this trade deal is a break from the other trade deals of the past, NAFTA, saying that we've learned from past mistakes, and again, that there are securities in this trade deal against U.S. job losses, against any environmental impact, but it is a really tough sell, particularly when you have labor unions. Gary Trumka just sent out a press release moments ago, Luke, saying that this trade deal will cost U.S. jobs. So it's a really tough sell from the president's perspective. I am told, though, that based on my conversations with folks on both sides of Pennsylvania Avenue, there is cautious optimism that this is going to pass. But I'm also told it's going to be a nail-biter, and you know better than anyone, Luke, these deals are not done until they're done.
That's true. Nothing is agreed to until everything's agreed to. I will say one thing, though, the White House has to be happy about, Alex Seitz-Wald, is that it seems that Nancy Pelosi is behind this. And when it comes to a close vote, Nancy Pelosi, there is none better of her generation in terms of ability to secure the votes. I will say, though, this has been very difficult for Pelosi because she has not necessarily come out publicly too strongly either way, allowing a lot of the hot air to sort of come out of her caucus. At the end of the day, Alex, how much do you think that her imprint will be on this? I mean, she's going to go have to find those votes.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, she's used to being the liberal conscience of the Democratic caucus. She fought the president and the White House on that spending bill in December. She's, from San Francisco. She's raised a ton of money for the liberal wing of the party, but she's facing a lot of heat of her own from the left. There was a protest outside of her office in San Francisco earlier this week. Her office has been inundated with calls motivated by progressive groups, and they've really been trying to push her. What's going to be a great question is what happens after this. For liberals, you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. You don't want to go too hard after her because the next guy after her is Steny Hoyer, who they don't like. So I think they're going to, probably give her a pass on this. But she is trying to toe that really awkward line between giving the president what he wants, her president, who she's always had good relations with, even though he hasn't had great relations with other members on Capitol Hill, while not totally, abandoning her caucus. And there's been tensions. Rosa DeLauro, who's a top labor ally in the House Democratic Caucus, reportedly confronting Nancy Pelosi publicly. So this is a really rare situation we're seeing here.
Yeah, and on that point, there are a lot of interesting dynamics at play because you have this vote, which is the main vote is TAA, that's Trade Adjustment Assistance. The TPA, which essentially is the fast-track authority that will give the president the ability to negotiate a trade deal without having to be subjected to congressional amendments, that's more likely or not going to pass, but the TAA vote has to pass first. What's unique about this TAA vote, for the people out there that don't get this at all or are so in the weeds, trade adjustment assistance is something that Democrats have liked for generations. It's essentially helping disenfranchised workers who've lost their jobs because of a trade deal. The play by labor here, the AFL-CIO in Trumka, is to tell Democrats to vote no against something they ordinarily would wholeheartedly support. And that's what's so difficult here because the GOP sees TAA as welfare. They're not usually in support of it. So Boehner's going to have to provide some cover here. But let's talk about that for a second, Alex. The fact that the strategy of labor has been to go to progressive Democrats and say, vote against something you dislike because it's our best chance to kill the bill. It kills it in a procedural manner ahead of the larger vote.
Right. I mean, they're pulling out all the stops here, and so they're going to take advantage of whatever they have at their disposal. And here it's essentially trying to make a poison pill, trying to make the overall package so unfavorable that Democrats will abandon the president, and this thing will just get kicked down the road until it eventually dies. That's the sort of grand plan. But, it's a really a tough place for them. And they know they're down. I was talking to a congressional Democrat aide earlier today, and compared it to the World Series. He said this is Game 6. They're down 3-2. They can't win it today, but they need a win just to stay alive. But Obama and the Republicans, they can put it away today, and that's it. So they're going to try. They're going to try
real
as hard as they
quickly.
can.